So we seem to be at the same point that the world was in July 1914, when the First World War had only a few days to open, and most of the British leaders, the German Emperor, the Austrian Chancellor, were on holiday in their respective chateaus. At the moment, we have a few hours, maybe a few days, in which to prevent what is being organized to happen. A massive war that is going to take millions of lives if it ever breaks out. I think we need to understand why we are in this situation. Behind it, at the bottom of it all, is Israel. The famous independent intellectual of the United States, Jeffrey Sachs, has said, and I'm quoting him, that the gangsters in the White House are a client state of Israel. It is the Israeli tail that is wagging the Western dog. In these circumstances, it is Iran that is being made the battlefield for an attempt by Israel to establish itself as the supreme power in West Asia under the aegis of a Trump who regards making America great again as a way of establishing total American dominance over the world order. They have been warned by Russia, they've been warned by China that this kind of hostility, this kind of resort to massive arms, this kind of threat to the lives of millions of people and the prosperity of the entire region is going to result in so much political and religious instability as to make it extremely dangerous, not only for the war to take place, but also for the aftermath of the war. And yet, notwithstanding all these clear and present threats, the United States, in complete violation of Article 2 of the UN Charter, which prohibits not only the use of force, but even the threat of the use of force. These provisions are being violated without sanction from the international community, totally against international law, and with no regard to humanity or ethical principles, as an attempt is made by the Western powers. And I say the Western powers because it's not only the United States which is involved with this armada that is moving in the direction of Iran. It is also the entire NATO. All the Western countries are participating in this very, very dangerous game of chicken, as they call it in Australia, where two cars refuse to budge on either side and an imminent crash takes place. It is to avoid this crash that the Russians and the Chinese have warned that this armada should be stopped and that negotiation should begin, and that regime change in Iran is a matter for the Iranian people and not for outside interference to determine. The only country of significance that is completely silent on this issue is India. The India of Nehru, the India of Mahatma Gandhi, the India of Rabindranath Tagore is now, as the India of Mr. Modi, completely silent on this issue. Although our very, very strong relations with Iran, which go back into history, which are revealed in our literature, which have infused our culture and our civilization, and in modern times have proved of a great importance to regional stability and regional economic prosperity. All these are threatened, and yet the government of India remains completely silent. I don't know what our great leaders, the founders of our republic, are thinking at the moment in the heavens above where they stay, for this is not the India that used to be. The India that used to be spoke up. It spoke up on the division of Germany. It spoke up on the war in Korea. It was responsible in many ways for bringing about the ceasefire in Indochina. It was responsible for bringing good sense to prevail when the Anglo-French-Israeli invasion of Egypt took place in 1956. Its voice was heard when Cyprus was separated into a portion occupied by Turkey and the Greeks of the southern Cyprus. And when in the Congo, Patrice Lumumba, the great freedom fighter of Congo, was assassinated. At that time too, the United Nations turned to India to not only supply the administrator, the UN administrator, who would restore peace in the Congo, but also the peacekeeping force. India was the country that the world turned to because we were the advocates of peace and non-violence. But now we have totally abandoned non-alignment. We claim that we are multi-aligned. But how can you be aligned both with the opponent as well as the oppressed party? The fact of the matter is that India has to speak out for peace at this time, even if it involves annoying Mr. Trump. You cannot go on appeasing Donald Trump as the central theme of your foreign policy. We have to prevent a war in our very region. We have to speak up for peace. We have to speak up for the UN Charter. We have to speak up for international law. We have to speak up for morality and ethics in international relations. Otherwise, we will be drifting backwards from the 21st century BC into the 21st century AD and into the 21st century BC. It has taken the world centuries upon centuries, millennia upon millennia, to arrive at a rule-based international order that lays down and then follows international law. And there are institutions that have been built up after the Second World War to ensure that there is not an Armageddon, especially at a time when many countries in the world, including Israel, are armed with nuclear weapons. If nuclear weapons are used in the coming confrontation, then disaster overtakes us. And even if they are not used, even if Iran is militarily subdued, what happens on the morning after? We have seen in Vietnam, we have seen in Iraq, we have seen in Syria, we have seen in Libya that outside interference to promote regime change leads to huge instability, huge violation of human rights, huge confusion, much violence. And to stop all this, people have to listen to the voice of Mahatma Gandhi saying, non-violence, non-violence. Talk to the opponent. Persuade him to change his ways. Do not threaten him. Understand him. It's all these qualities that the world desperately needs today. And instead of having them, we have a great deal of domestic oppression in Iran. The people of Iran have shown themselves all through history to understand who is oppressing them and to take the required measures within their own country. There is no need at all for the United States to come to the rescue of the Iranian people. If the Iranian people wish to be rescued, they will themselves take the necessary action. And if they don't, it means that they are going along with the regime that has already lasted not for 1 year, not for 2 years, it's lasted already for 46 years. For half a century, we have had an Iran that is run by the clerics. It is therefore absolutely essential that without trying to appease Israel, without trying to appease America, The question of making America great again would not arise if there is terrible death and terrible destruction. America will grow great again only if it becomes a force for peace. And it is India's duty to try to guide the United States, if not the White House, the people of the United States, in the direction of seeking peace, seeking negotiated solutions, and not resorting to the terrible demons of war. And don't unleash the dogs of war. It is extremely important that peace be preserved and harmony be restored through a process of negotiations. The Iranians have said they are willing to negotiate. The Americans are demanding negotiations. The armada should be stopped. Both parties should go to the conference table and a solution should be found at that table. Jai Hind, Namaskar.